In this video, I'm summarizing a full month's work, helping a man on Tasmania building the layout of his dreams.
Hello and welcome to a video tutorial with Marklinofsweden. What is this all about then? Yeah, I was contacted back in September last year from a gentleman on Tasmania. Tasmania, I guess most people know, but it's an island south of the Australian mainland. So it's a part of Australia. And he wanted me to help him getting the track work going of the layout of his dreams. A kind of, I'll say, bucket list type thing. And he has been collecting items actively since mid-80s. So he had a huge collection, both of rolling stock, mainly built in the 50s, 60s of the major manufacturers, but also plenty of track work, scenery and houses, everything he needs to complete this layout. But unfortunately, in the later years, he is suffering from a severe spinal condition, so he cannot move around all that much. And that's why he asked for help. And I said, well, I work full-time with this, so why not? But I'm located on the other side of the earth, you know. You haven't found anyone closer to do this who can help you with some track work. And he said, yeah, I had people here from Tasmania living on the same place, but, you know, these things takes time, and people typically have a full-time jobs, something, and a family, and etc. So, you know, they could help him occasionally, but not to the extent he needed to get this thing going. So I accepted his offer to go there, and I asked also if he wanted some input on the track work. You know, whatever plan he have for this, and he explained that it's not a prototypic layout. He was not all that interested in switching cars, you know, doing shunting and things like that. He just wanted to run really long passenger trains on a more or less type oval layout. So no, he didn't want any feedback on it. He just wanted some help to get the track work going, because once he had the track work going, he could do the bits and pieces with the detailing and stuff like that. So I went there, and I started by making a line diagram, since he didn't really have a sketch for it. He had everything in his head, so just we can agree that what was there and made by different people actually was according to his idea of this layout. So this is what the line diagram looks like.
The layout contains from two completely separated track works, a 2-rail system and a 3-rail system. And this is the 3-rail system for Marklin. And it is basically an oval in the shape of a dog bone. In the left end here, the main station, and in the other end, two type of staging areas, one for shorter commuter trains and one for longer long distance trains. The other track work is a 2-rail DC system, which basically runs in parallel with the 3-rail system. In one of the loops you have the main station, and in the other the staging area. The layout is designed for right-hand traffic. It's powered by analog AC and DC. The blocks are 4 to 5 meters long, and the total floor surface is 650 square meters.
So the content of the line diagram matched his idea of what the track work should look like. We were ready to get started. So here's a short presentation of all the different areas of this layout.
In the first room, we find the main station area. The station, as it's planned, will have 3 4-meter-long platforms, where 6 tracks have platform access and 2 tracks are passing tracks. The entire benchwork of this layout, including the sub-road belts, are all built from reused wood, and even the screws were second-hand in most cases. It's fantastic to reuse materials like this, but it's also very time consuming. So in the main station area I started by sort out the tracks which had been assembled because nothing matched out. After that I added a power bus for both AC and DC, added the power feed to all of the block sections, and connecting it all together with a proper marking of each cable. It was necessary to recess the last meter of the 4 tracks in the 2-rail system, since that was continuing to its loop further on in the bar. So the entire length here was built as a bar with plumbing for beer taps and a sink, etc. The work at the stations was kind of quick. This was completed in a bit more than 1 day, and after that the trains were running. And here now we're following a train out on the connecting main line. When I arrived, all of this lay flat on the bar. I first needed to figure out the total height for this to match out with the track work in the next room, and then I started to build a bridge. The material I got to work with was this low-cost white styrofoam. I was tasked to build the 9-meter bridge, including the grades leading up to the bridge, without using any other material. So here's the method I came up with. I assembled the pieces of styrofoam like you would expect to see a concrete bridge. I glued it all together using PVA glue, using pins to hold everything in place until the glue is set. And then with a piece of scrap wood, applying some putty over the entire surface, just to get rid of all those round holes after the styrofoam. Once the putty was sanded with 240 grit paper, it's time for some painting. And these paints were at hand, so I made a mix to get a kind of gray color, and these were the proportions I used. So mainly white, a large drop of brown and a small drop of black. And with this paint covering the entire bridge. As you see here, a portion of the bridge is missing, and my client hadn't made his mind up yet what bridge to add there, so I just added a portion of the look I proposed for this. So here are some drain pipes made of cable isolation, and the rest is just paint. So here you see the different stages, everything from ready-made to just styrofoam. And following this train, we're now passing into the second room. When I arrived, it looked like this. So most of the track work was missing, except the staging for the 3-rail commuter loop. Here's the last day. The Helix here takes the train from the long staging area in room 4 and 5 up to the level of the station in the bar. And here to the right, the small return loop for the commuter trains. So let's ride through that loop. It looks like this. So here one commuter will stop and another will continue, and then to the main station. The material for the Helixes was delivered by a cabinet maker. All pieces very nicely made with a perfect fit. The cabinet maker also showed up the third day to explain how he intended all of the bits and pieces he made. Only thing I needed to do here was to make this tool, which is made from a piece of wood which has been cut out using a hole. So all you need to do then is to add an M6 thread into that center hole, a hex nut on each side, and then I think this was polymer sidewalk or pavement rubber. So I glued that with liquid nails to the piece of wood, and then the handling of the hex nut became much easier. One full turn of this helix consisted from 4 pieces, which were joined together using these blocks of wood, which was cut to the grade intended for the Helix. So all in all, a very nice design. A bit unfortunate though, I didn't have any knowledge about this order, because the cabinet maker had selected the 6mm MDF for the sub roadbed, and that will never work, of course. It's way too thin. A minimum would be 8mm hardwood plywood. Another drawback with this Helix design was that our friend has got help from someone to create the template for the quarter turn of each curve, but unfortunately selected the much too tight curve radius, which reduces the theoretically possible train length through these helixes way below the 4 to 5 meter target, which he had. On site at this very moment, I decided to make a tutorial on both grades and helixes, explaining the relationship between curve radius, grade, and the maximum possible train length. Anyway, this is a very useful tool to have around when you're making grades and helixes. If you don't want to buy the tool, you can download an app for your phone, and this app will show you the exact grade in degrees. Here we have 0.4 degrees, and if we move it upwards, we see the drawback with the MDF being much too soft. Here 1.9. And after a few days already, this varied between 0 up to 4.5 degrees due to the poor material. But he was to add the edges to it, and after that I guess he will overcome that problem. And here's the guardian of the layout, the happy poodle Molly. Always in your lap whenever you decide to sit down. On the train again, we're following it into the third room, where the long staging loop started through these two turnouts, and then continued into the fourth room, which actually was the loom, the toilet, where you now, after 1 week of construction, could enjoy passing trains whilst sitting there and philosophizing. Our Tasmanian friend had a great sense of humor. The plan for the first phase was 3 staging tracks each for DC and AC, terminating in a helix which brings the trains down to the level where they can pass under the long bridge. Each helix took about 2 days to build. This is the frame for the second helix, on which the helix then was assembled. As you might have seen, the tracks in the helixes are flex tracks. The inner one is a 3-rail K-track from Marklin here, and the outer one is a 2-rail Fleischmann. The curve radius for the K-track is 432 mm, and all of the K-tracks as well as the Fleischmanns were assembled using screw only. This so the tracks could be disassembled later if necessary. So here's the helix now in place on the layout, connected and ready for trials with the first train. I was not able to make any fine adjustments of the heights in this helix since the material was sagging. And here's the tracks now coming out in the first room again, just to go below the bridge and into the second room for transition up to the bar height. And this is what it looks like when going with the helix down and back into the first room, like this.
All right. So 1 month later, a full-time job, trains were running on the layout, and all the bits and pieces were in place. So from this point on, he could now continue to add extensions for the track work, and also add scenery and all the bits and pieces he intended for this type of bucket list layout. And I feel very happy and thankful that I could contribute and help this guy. And I want to send a big thank you to you patrons supporting the channel on monthly basis, as well as you viewer watching these videos, and you guys buying the 3D models as well. You all made this possible. Also, a big thank you to the family who took really good care of me and my wife, taking us for sightseeing in the weekends, etc. So a very nice project, and I would love to be part of, or continue to help people like this. It's really meaningful and fun. So thank you for watching this video. If you have use for the information provided, if you want to help out, if you want to support, get over to Patreon. Set up a support account there from, you know, from $1-2 per month, or make a one-off donation using the PayPal dialog found in the video description below. And if you're not yet a subscriber, subscribe to the channel and enable that little bell, and you will get a notification once next video gets published. Until that happens, see you.